What do you think of when you think of the DC universe? Do you think of Superman? Do you think of Batman? Do you think of Wonder Woman? Do you think of Teen Titans? Do you think of the Justice Society for some reason? Well, let me tell you, James Gunn is not the guy to lead a DC universe. He's just not. His type of humor, juvenile, crass, lowbrow, low hanging fruit, kind of never really changes, never really switches up, never really improves. He's good at ensemble team movies, and I say good here and there. He should have really stayed with Marvel, even if he had to like beg them to, take him back. He's made mistakes, all that shit. He should have, or better yet, he should have gone with a comic book friend, a publisher that doesn't have a cinematic universe yet, like Image or Valiant or Dark Horse or something. Just do something else, something outside the box, outside your comfort zone. But that's the thing with James Gunn. We get Creature Commandos, and that's in his wheelhouse. We get the Suicide Squad, which isn't part of the DCU, of course, because it's just not, unless it's part of his favorites. Like, he has his favorites, his actors, his wife, of course, in Peacemaker. All these people he'll keep in a soft reboot. The problem with the DCU? We are in, what, 10-year plan? There's just too many problems with this. We'll start from the top. We start off the universe. Well, not the first big start, of course, because he wants to, say Superman is, but Creature Commandos. We start off that show, and what do we have? We have a monster Suicide Squad, because that seems to be the reoccurring theme here. Suicide Squad, then something, just team up movies, but not even really good team up movies. I will never understand why we didn't start with a World's Finest movie. We've never gotten Superman and Batman being friends in a movie and teaming up and doing something cool. That would have been cool. But regardless, we start with Creature Commandos. And the biggest problem with that show is that, other than the fact that there's really no steam behind it, there's no momentum behind it, and the only people that are really going to be super into it are people that are just very open-minded to a team that not even big comic book fans are really crazy about. Same thing goes for Sergeant Rock or whatever the fuck they're doing with the movie. Like, James Gunn he's very presumptuous to think that Sergeant Rock and Creature Commandos and some of these other obscure characters are going to, have a return on investment. It's just not going to happen. And if it does, it's going to be so minuscule, so small, that it doesn't really matter much. But we start with Creature Commandos. And you have Cersei in that. And the problem that I had with having Cersei there was that you want to use her similarly to how the Justice League Unlimited show used her, where we had her in an episode. She fucks up Wonder Woman, turns her into a pig. We all, if we know the episode, it's iconic. Batman, rest in peace to Kevin Conroy, the GOAT. He sings a beautiful song, Am I Blue? All that, And that's a beautiful, beautiful scene. Very nice. And it really shows Cersei at her best, because we don't see her fighting or anything really other than Wonder Woman, but her deal that she makes with Batman, where she says, you have to give up something in exchange for what I'm going to do for you. Give and take. Equivalent exchange, if you will. Shout out to Fullmetal Alchemist. And she honors that deal. But it shows you that she's a villain with a bit of a code. She has a way of doing things. She's not just, oh, I'm just gonna turn Wonder Woman back. you think I'm about to do that? No. You gotta give me something for that. But when he does, she honors the agreement. But with James Gunn's Cersei, with the Cersei that we see in Creature Commandos, we don't get that. We don't get a Cersei that is like super powerful or intimidating or a very tough and difficult opponent to beat. And it makes Amanda Waller like sweat, and she's like, "Oh my God, I gotta really break the glass for this one." We don't have any of that. She just shows up, gets somehow gets I wouldn't even say defeat, but she gets basically beaten by the Creature Commandos in one instance, and they have what is it, Dr. Phosphorus, I think his name is, like burn her face and leave like a handprint, and she just she comes back from this, but it's such a pitiful display for a character. They make her underwhelming as fuck, and she's a god. She's on the same tier as Wonder Woman, and we're making her get just taken care of by James Gunn's new team that he wants to push. It's just a joke. And the problem with putting Cersei in that position, other than the fact that it's dumb, is that you don't do justice to what the character has been shown to be, most likely in the comics, because I haven't read them much. But in the show that I'm referencing with Just the Unlimited, they show her being formidable. They show her being powerful. They show her being a threat and worthy of the title of a god. But in that show, they just treat her like whatever. And then she's a messenger, like warning them about a princess that's like, spoiler alert, if you care, she's a villain, and oh my God, she's gonna destroy the DC Universe heroes and all this stuff. Why the fuck is Cersei giving this information with no reason to give it? What's that about? What the fuck is that about? That don't make sense. It doesn't make sense for her to just give this information freely. What the fuck? And then we fast forward, okay? We fast forward. We're gonna stop, getting in our feelings about that. We're gonna stop that. But we move on to Superman. Now, I will admit, I have not gone to see it yet. For good reason, because every review I've seen, other than the people that just want to blindly praise it, it's different if you just like the movie, you had a good time. That's fine. The theater experience elevates movies like James Gunn's, because I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and that was fucking awful. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, after 2, I didn't want to have a repeat performance. Forgive me, guys. But we go into Superman, and everything I've heard, sure, I will judge it based on its own merits, and it'll probably be a dumb, fun movie or whatever it is. But from what I know, I'm glad I spoiled myself, because to bastardize the Superman canon, to make Jor-El, who nobody's going to be crying a river about, but to just change him just because you can, flippantly, without care to what that changes for Superman, and the chain effect, and the chain reaction that you're going to cause because of that. It shows little care to the Superman character, his mythos, what makes him him. That Superman movie gave more moments to Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner, who has a fucking horrible wig. Nathan Fillion, we are sorry. We do not know why why they gave you that fucking god awful wig. Just so James Gunn. Oh wait, no, we do know why. Just so James Gunn can make a joke, one that's not that funny at all, because the dude never improves his comedy. I'm really sick and tired of James Gunn, Taika Waititi, these people that just act like they're very funny. Like, I'm so funny. If you're that funny, you'd be able to switch it up a little bit. You'd be able to, give me a joke I'm not expecting. Give me something that's actually really funny. Like, a great example of like his humor is the Guy Gardner like hair thing. Like, oh, we just gave him a bad wig to make the joke. We could have gave him a better wig than that. Come on now. It's Green Lantern. Guy Gardner's actually, I've seen him be pretty cool in the comics, from panels I've seen and shit. I'm like, yeah, this guy's pretty cool, man. In the movie, forget about it. Mr. Terrific, we're just going to use him here and there. We're going to give our needle drop song moment to Mr. Terrific. What? It's a Superman movie. Why are we doing that? Now, this don't make no sense. But Superman, the titular character, we are going to do nothing that's that impressive with him. We're not going to give him a really cool fight. We're not going to give him a moment of pure wholesomeness that's like heartwarming or something. No, we're just going to, throw him out there. The DC universe under James Gunn is just all over the place. We go into this Superman movie, metahumans have been around for what? 3 millennia, 300 years, I believe was the exact statistic. And they're treated like celebrities, or they're treated like normal, like it's whatever. There is no depth behind anything that he's doing in that movie. From everything I've heard, from everything I will see, and everything I've seen with the Guardians, he's just not going to add much to a DC universe that's established or not. It doesn't really matter. He could have spent 5 movies establishing this shit, and at least it would have had something, but it would have had the depth of a puddle. And that's case in point with Superman, because if I go to it and I go see it for 2 hours, I will be having a hopefully enjoyable time. Doubtful, but I will hopefully have an enjoyable time. But given how he handled Guardians and how he's handling this, I remember somebody describing it as like Guardians of Metropolis. I think I saw a comment of it. I'm like, yeah, that's probably what it would be, because it's very obvious that he was uncomfortable doing a Superman movie by himself with just Superman, Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Perry White, all these people, Cat Grant, all that. And then doing a cool little wholesome story with that. I don't know why. I don't know why we couldn't just, do a cool Superman story. I mean, the fact that we changed Superman Legacy to Superman was telling. It was telling. The whole movie is about his legacy, though. The whole movie hinges on his legacy, what the people think of him because of Jor-El's message and them turning on him and Lex Luthor, plotting, all that stuff. Yeah, that all has to do with his legacy. So it probably should have just been called Superman Legacy, but he wanted the credit. He wanted the James Gunn Superman. He wanted people to just say that and be happy about it. He wanted the clout. He wanted the ego. He's an image guy, an ego guy. It's very obvious. He's juvenile. He's the degenerate. And not in a cool Degeneration X. Degeneration, not wrestling shit. No. And it's very obvious to me that, like, the Superman movie is just one step into this new DC universe that has little to no depth, little to no character development that's really, moving or anything like that. I'm dying. I'm coughing. I'm contracting a disease from this horrible thing. Oh my goodness. I need some water, man. I need to be more powerful than Superman in the movie that I've seen, because every fucking thing in this movie that I have seen, that I've heard about, is just him getting his fucking ass beat. Who is gonna like that? Who is gonna enjoy that? Not me. I'm not enjoying it. What Superman fan is going to enjoy Superman being underwhelming? What Superman fan is going to enjoy Supergirl calling this man a bitch at the end of the movie? Like, thanks for taking care of Crypto. Thanks for taking care of him, bitch. Who's going to enjoy that? Who is going to enjoy Superman being overshadowed by lesser characters in terms of status? Not enjoyment, because you can enjoy Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific just as much as Superman. But in status, Mr. Terrific overshadows this man. Takes out like an army of fucking enemies, like easy. Oh yeah, in a day's work. And Lois is over there like, oh my God. Why couldn't we give that to Superman? I'm not even the biggest Superman fan. And I'm wondering, why did we do a Superman movie if this is how we were going to handle it? Everybody gives this movie a pass because they're seeing what they want to see and not what it is. If you just love the movie, you love the movie. Cool, great. But let's call it what it is. Guardians of Metropolis. Guardians of Metropolis. A Superman movie in name only, and barely even that. So what exactly am I supposed to care about with this DC universe? Superman? We've already made him underwhelming and seem less than he should be. Supergirl? We're going off a story written by Tom King, who is a terrible writer, in my opinion. Horrible, awful, disgusting. And yet we're doing a Supergirl story based off that. And that's the first, instance of Supergirl we're going to get. Because we already saw her drunk and crashing into the Fortress of Solitude and being like, oh, yeah, hey, Superman. Yeah, woohoo. Hey, Krypto. Woohoo. No. Supergirl, honestly, I think if he would have gone for the new 52 version, which is not probably everybody's favorite, or even the Justice League Unlimited Justice League, classic DCAU Supergirl, where, she's got the white and, the crest with the white fit and all that. That would have been... there were options here is all I'm saying. There were options. And he went to go with something that he probably personally enjoyed and said, oh, it doesn't matter about what I could do. I just want to do what I enjoy. Case in point, Krypto. I'm not the biggest Krypto fan. I'm not going to be over here crying tonight because Krypto was not portrayed well or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's a problem to just take Superman's mythos and just fuck with it. People care about Superman. It's Superman. And to bastardize it, to make your dog the image of Krypto because, I can. Again, he's just doing shit because he can, not because it has depth or meaning or greater purpose for the DC universe. People may hate Zack Snyder, and he's a controversial figure, much like Rian Johnson for Star Wars, for over-hated reasons. But anyways, it is what it is. One thing you can't say about Zack Snyder was that he, and I am a fan, but I'm not going to let my bias, get in the way of this. At the end of the day, objectively, he had a plan for the DC universe. Had he been able to execute it, yeah, there were some things that I would change, and I think Warner Brothers changed. I think it was Dick Grayson being the Dead Robin, all this kind of stuff. These are things that definitely could have changed, and his plan still could have been executed. It was a 5-year plan, though, of Justice, of Man of Steel 2, Batman v Superman, Justice League 1, 2, and 3, and then there would have been 5 movies, a 5-year plan, of a DC universe that was going to lead into Final Crisis with Darkseid and Batman dying and probably being lost in time because it's Batman. And that's what they did in the comic anyway. So no one's going to be like, oh my God, it happened in the comic because he's too popular. And at that point, if you had let him execute the plan where Final Crisis happens and Batman is lost in time, all this other shit, you could have rebooted the DC universe, exactly what they did anyway, not fired Henry Cavill like he's nothing, which is absolutely the opposite of what he is. He's the best Superman I think we've had since Christopher Reeve. He's before my time. I am not familiar with the GOAT Christopher Reeve. I'm not familiar with that guy, but I know he looked the part, he acted the part, and he seemed great as Superman. Just from me seeing, just from the image of it, I'm like, that's Superman. Same thing with Henry Cavill. That's Superman. David Cornsweet, I'm sure he does a fine job. And it's unfortunate that he's stuck in a movie that just doesn't really understand Superman. And again, people are seeing what they want to see with this movie. They are seeing Superman be this amazing beacon of hope, but he is nowhere in that movie a beacon of hope with great moments of like is anybody gonna be, people love to hate on the fucking Zod thing, Zod snapping, the neck, yeah, but what choice did the guy have, right? He was going to kill a family, had to make a decision. There was nothing in the Superman movie that was going to be that memorable, because love it or hate it, that moment is memorable. There are lines in Man of Steel that are memorable that I could just remember off the dome. A good death is its own reward. You will not win. For every human you save, we will kill 1 million more. These things are just really, it's because he had a vision for the DC universe. And love it or hate it, it had meaning, it had depth. You could tell he cared. James Gunn don't give a fuck about this shit. Case in point, Superman. If I go see it, I'm not going to go into it, contrary to what I've said in this video, wanting to hate the movie. I'm going to go into it thinking, I want this Superman to just be a fun movie where I can really have a good time and see Superman kick some butt and have, all that. But I'm barely going to even get that based on everything that I already know. And you're just wondering to yourself, what exactly is the point? James Gunn is not somebody that likes to get out of his comfort zone. He's not somebody that likes to exert too much effort when he's trying to do these things. Case in point, the fact that this Superman movie is an ensemble superhero movie with other heroes and not just a Superman movie, because he didn't want to get out of his comfort zone. He refused to get out of his comfort zone. He didn't have to do this movie. I think he should have done like a Lobo movie with Jason Momoa leading into the Supergirl movie that we're getting apparently, or whatever. And I don't expect Lobo, played by Jason Momoa over there, to be, anything to write home about either, just because it's adapting a story that is written by Tom King, and Tom King is not the writer that you want to adapt for a first appearance of a character. Maybe you do that for the second movie and people don't really like it too much and they move on, but not the first one, because it sets the tone. And you don't want to set the tone with something that not many people are going to be super into. Like a great example of like something that people aren't going to be really into immediately for Supergirl, but would be cool, is that in the New 52, Supergirl became a Red Lantern. She didn't like humanity, or she had controversial, mixed feelings or whatever. But in that story, we just see her struggling with it and being a Red Lantern, kind of feeding into that struggle and everything. That's a good way to show off two things at once. Supergirl herself and the Lantern Corps being more than just the Green Lanterns. And you immediately know that. If you want to establish a lived-in, already established DC universe, have that. Have, Hal Jordan off planet and he comes back for that Lantern show or whatever. And he's like hinting at something else going on out there or something. Now, the Lanterns hasn't come out. We don't know what it'll be. But that's a good way to show a lived-in universe. Or maybe, Jon Stewart, who's apparently, the younger of the two in this universe, he's a new recruit in this DCU. Have him be like, well, where were you at? And he's like, there's a lot going on out there you don't want to know. I've had my bad times, bad history out there. There's a lot of shit going on, and I really don't want to get into it. That's another way to show it. It's like an offhanded way, paraphrasing with the dialogue, of course. And it shows a lived-in DCU. It shows a lived-in DC universe. Again, James Gunn's problem is that he doesn't want to try to make a DC universe that is lived in. He wants to claim that it's lived in. He wants to announce a slate like Marvel, most likely out of some bitterness that he got fired for shitty, disgusting tweets that he made in the past. And instead of just taking his time with the DC universe, he says, "Oh, it's already started. It's already this. It's already that. It's already made up. We're just doing chapter 1." If this is chapter 1 with 10 years or whatever, I do not want to see chapter 2 and 3. If it's a book, we can end that shit at chapter 1. We can make it a 1-chapter story and it got discontinued, like a fanfic that was not that great and it just got discontinued or some shit. We do not need that. And by we, I mean me and Venom. Silliness aside, it's not something that makes sense to do. If you're going to announce a slate, if you're going to announce a Superman movie, change the title and call it just Superman, then I expect Superman to be a beacon of hope as he is in the DC universe. I mean, we didn't even get mentions of Gotham or anything. You want to talk about like not committing to the lived-in DC universe feel of anything? You can mention Gotham. Like, what the fuck is the problem with just mentioning Gotham and Keystone and all these other known locations in the DC universe? What the fuck? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Are we making a DC universe that's worth a damn or aren't we? Because from everything I can see and everything that I can see beyond what's being thrown at me, I can see a DC universe that is lived in name only. Because if you have a movie called Superman and it's an ensemble movie and people are overshadowing Superman and Superman's cousin randomly shows up drunk for some reason and she calls him a bitch, which is it's completely out of character for Supergirl, the one that people would know about, the one that people know that is sent to protect Clark, protect Superman, protect Kal-El, protect him, watch over him, help him out. That, the original backstory for the character, not this Tom King fucking weird weird version, drunk Supergirl, where she's on this like space adventure or some shit. What the fuck is that? What are we doing? Again, what are we doing? Superman is supposed to be a hopeful, very cool in the sense of like, he's always gonna be there for you. That's pretty fucking cool. He's always gonna be there for me, and I just gotta be like super, like not like the trailer where it's like Superman. No. I mean like legit. If you want to do a Superman moment that is a good moment that I've seen, there was a moment in one of the comics where, if I recall, a kid was being abused by his father, and he wanted Superman to help him. So eventually it gets to a point where like the dad is being a piece of shit, of course, and he calls out to Superman, and Superman does hear him, and he eventually finds him, and he's like angered, of course. He's like, what the fuck is going on here? And he stops the abuse, and he encourages the boy to never give up hope and stuff like that. That is a great Superman moment. And it's also realistic. Painfully realistic. What was wrong? James Gunn could never do something like that because he doesn't allow the movie to have the depth that I feel like it could have. Because he wants to throw in jokes. So many jokes. Ha ha ha. Bro, it ain't really that funny. I'm certainly not laughing about Superman being thrown around and beat up. The first thing we see of this Superman is him being beat up. Him being on the ground. And of course, I know the explanation for that. Oh, well, he was going through, his third year as Superman, and he's never been beaten. This is the first time he's been beaten. Why the fuck didn't we just show the fight then? Why we gotta off-screen that shit like we're fucking a fan of One Piece? Because Ichiro Oda loves to off-screen fights. No. We do not need to off-screen this fucking Superman fight. It's his first loss in 3 years as Superman, and we're gonna off-screen that? Really? Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him. What the fuck? What the fuck? And another thing, if we're gonna do 3 years of Superman and have him have his first loss, and it's a lived-in universe, why can't we use Mongol or Parasite or maybe fuck it, have hints of Brainiac coming eventually, and like have Lex Luthor beat him because he makes the armor before we expect him to, because it's already because he's already planning to kill Superman. This motherfucker's been around for 3 years. I gotta fucking kill this piece of shit. So he makes the armor that we know about, the kryptonite and all that. He's ready to go. He's like, yeah, let's fucking go. Nope. So instead of getting a cool Lex Luthor versus Superman fight, which we've never really gotten in live action, we do Ultraman, who's not Ultraman from the comics, which anybody that knows Ultraman from any of these, Ultraman is evil Superman, crime syndicate, Earth 3 in the comics. There you go. That's what that character is. But instead of doing that, we do, and let's just use the fucking name and fucking in name only, which is the real lazy fucking thing to do. But either way, we're going to use the name, and it's going to be a clone of Superman. Why didn't we use Bizarro? And the clone is not intelligent. He's not smart. And he's, just like the director. Not smart. Not using his head. Not using his head. Refusing to use his head. Refusing to think. Why on earth could we not use Bizarro? What the fuck? He's literally a clone of Superman. And he's dumb. And he's wholesome. And he talks backwards. These are 4 things that is part of Bizarro. And you know the way that Bizarro could have been used in this movie to make it better? You have Bizarro show up. You have him not really want to hurt anybody because he's not really trying to do that, but he's manipulated by Lex Luthor because he's a piece of shit. And he's being abused by Lex and all this kind of stuff because he's evil and he's fucked up and he hates Superman. And he's mad that he failed to create a perfect version of Superman that was, willing to bend to his will and all this stuff. That was really great. It's a failed experiment to him. So he abuses him and all this stuff, right? And this is obviously the audience doesn't like that this character, whether they know about him or not. Of course, their only way of probably thinking of him would be like Frankenstein or something, probably. Like that's the only thing a casual audience member would probably think of with that. Because he's just a fucked up version of Superman that's like a failed experiment. It helps to show Lex's evil pettiness and his disgusting, abusive, ways of dealing with things when he doesn't get his way. Specifically with this, because he can't abuse, other people because it would hurt his image or whatever. But he can abuse Bizarro. So he uses Bizarro in this movie, in this hypothetical movie that isn't the one that we got. And he tries to kill Superman. And when Bizarro fails and Superman turns Bizarro good because he's trying to be understanding and trying to be helpful to him and try to get him to see that you don't have to listen to that guy. You don't have to, deal with him anymore. I'll help you. We can help each other. And eventually Bizarro turns good. And we, that's a good thing. We, get him out of the way so he doesn't have to be abused anymore. Another great moment for Superman that doesn't happen in this movie because we just throw him around and do whatever, nothing that great with him. And then we give him a token speech at the end to make people believe in him, I guess. Too little, too late. Too little, too late. But in this hypothetical that I'm saying, not to say it's better at all, but I mean, it's at least something, Fact is that this Bizarro plot that I'm putting in would actually do a lot of things. It shows Bizarro as a sympathetic figure. It shows Superman as sympathetic in the sense that he's in a tough spot where he has to save the city and help this enemy of his and not be seen as weak and ineffective by the public or something because he's 3 years in and some people are still doubting him or something, maybe. Because, some people are stubborn. They don't want to believe in this flying alien that's trying to help them and shit. They're like, fuck this guy or whatever. And instead of just having the entire public turn on him, like in the movie, where they just have him, Jor-El, was, sent Superman here to breed with Earth women and rule the world, which is a bastardization of Jor-El completely. But okay, whatever, just completely bastardize the character and the mythos of Superman. And people are just going to overlook that because they want to see what they want to see, clearly. And like I said, I want to repeat again. If you just like Superman and you just like James Gunn's movies and shit, that's okay, man. You do whatever you want to do. You enjoy it to your heart's content. But I can't sit here for however long I've been sitting here talking and say, okay, James Gunn, take me on this ride. Take me on this ride to the DC universe, baby. Let's go. Woohoo! I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't sit there and lie to myself and act like I'm happy about a dude that doesn't have a vision, doesn't have a passion for the DC universe as much as he claims to at all whatsoever, and be like, okay, let's go. Let's do this. It's just not what it should be. And the problem, again, with James Gunn doing a DC universe is that there is no, end game to this that makes it really, really meaningful or anything. Let's say the end of chapter 1 is just the Justice League versus Darkseid, even though we already did that, or we're going to do that in the Snyderverse and all that. There really wouldn't be any weight to it as much as there was with the Justice League for the Zack Snyder, because Zack Snyder took the time to show the conflict of the world dealing with Superman and Batman's struggle to bring back who he was before, and Wonder Woman's struggle to be, Wonder Woman, to be who she has to be, to show the world a greater, way of doing things potentially, and believe in love and all this stuff. All of the Trinity in that Snyderverse DCEU little amalgamation, abomination combination is mainly built off of the depth that we are shown in the solo movie of Man of Steel, the solo movie of Wonder Woman, and BVS itself. And after we get that, we are, primed and ready to go to see the Trinity do something cool. And they do in Justice League. And yet, in Zack Snyder's way of doing things, he really tried to give weight to all of these heroes. Cyborg, The Flash, Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, especially Superman. You can tell that James Gunn doesn't have a passion for the character when he bastardized the canon of Superman, the mythos. Why go out of your way to make Superman ineffectual, weak, underwhelming, a bitch, in Supergirl's, words? Why do that? Other than just, I don't really want to do a Superman movie. I want to do another ensemble movie, so I'll just throw it in there and call it Superman. Even though it could have just been called Superman Legacy, because again, like I said, everything in this fucking movie is about his fucking legacy, pretty much. He's 3 years in, and the people aren't really believing him, but like the message from Jor-El, which is about his legacy, which is about his purpose and all this, is taken the way it's taken, and people just immediately flip on him. That's not realistic. If Superman has been protecting people for 3 years, as you want people to believe in this movie, and you don't want them to start thinking about it too much when they get out the theater, you want to actually show the people, like, even all it would have taken is a scene with Lois arguing with somebody, maybe in the Daily Planet, and saying, okay, like, I get why you may be distrustful of Superman, but I believe he's there for good and he's trying to help people. There's a line in BVS that would have been perfect for this, which is, maybe he's just a guy trying to do the right thing. That's a line in BVS, and it fits perfectly into this movie if you gave a fuck about the whole plot line of Jor-El's message and the people doubting Superman and all this shit. It's perfect for that because it shows everything you want the audience to know in one line. That people are conflicted about what they want to feel about Superman. In BVS, they had him basically be rejected by the people mainly because of Lex's manipulations and because they were already distrustful of him at that point. And he just stoked the flames for the people and for Batman in that movie. But in this movie, Lex is just effective in only the way that the script wants him to be and the director wants him to be, not because the universe has a natural response to Superman. Because if Superman has been saving people for 3 years, why the fuck is everybody going to turn on him? Like, imagine this. If Superman saves you and your family, and then all of a sudden, Lex releases a video, you see it on your phone, everybody sees it on their phone, and all of a sudden your entire family switches up on him. That doesn't make sense. You would look at your family and be like, what the fuck is going on here, mama? Daddy, what are you doing? What's happening? Brother, sister, please, what do you mean Superman's evil, man? He saved us. It doesn't make sense. It makes more sense in that little hypothetical scenario that I just put out for your family to be like, I don't really know how to feel about that video. How do you feel about it? Let's talk about it for a second. That's realistic. But James Gunn is like, no, 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 no. You will like this Superman movie and everything that I'm throwing into it. I know it's not an obscure character. You think I wanted to do Superman? I didn't. I wanted to do a fucking obscure character, but I just couldn't fucking just throw it out there. So I said, fuck it, we'll do Superman. It's very obvious that's the case, because what the fuck? How in the world am I looking at Superman in this movie and thinking, oh yeah, man, that guy is gonna stand alongside Batman and Wonder Woman and be a fucking beacon of hope and inspiration for both of them in ways. And he's gonna really show in a scene just like Justice League. We're Justice League Unlimited. We're gonna kill off Superman, right? Like seemingly. And if anybody knows the DCAU, they know the scene where Batman is at the grave and he says, you taught me, you showed me that justice doesn't always have to come from the dark. That kind of scene would never work with this Superman, no matter how fucking much this motherfucker wants to try to seem like he's a great, because it's not Superman's fault that he's in a bad movie. Okay, it's not. I feel so bad for David Corenswet. It's not his fault that he's in a bad movie, in my opinion, from what I've seen. Now, am I gonna change my opinion when I go see it? Hopefully, because I feel like I don't want to say it's a bad movie, but then it's like everything is telling me that it is. Everything, from the fucking trailer to the teaser to the promotional material, to the fucking actors trying their hearts out to fucking carry it, but the fucking script beating their ass. Everything is telling me that this shit is a dud. Or worse than a dud. And it's like, I want a fun Superman movie. Just like everybody else that wants to glaze and get on their fucking hands and knees and shit. And I'm not trying to be an asshole completely. But it's coming out. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm more sorry than James Gunn would ever be, because he's not sorry about bastardizing the mythos. He's not sorry about making Supergirl unrecognizable to what you would expect her to be. He's not sorry that he randomly put Lois Lane and Superman in a relationship, had Lois already know about Superman, and not do anything really cool with any of their like relationship development or anything. Just, yeah, it's there, sure. They're together, sure. Oh, the 3-year Superman, sure. It just reeks of laziness. He's going with Supergirl being an already established weird version of Supergirl that I fucking would never want to get into. And honestly, I think, like, personally, I think that Millie Alcock should have been cast as Stephanie Brown. Because Millie Alcock, I feel like, would be much better in that role. It's a much more fun character that hasn't been not much more fun. They're both very fun characters. But the character of Stephanie Brown has never been shown in live action. And really shown off. She's the daughter of a villain called Clue Master. She is the only character in the Bat family to be Robin and Batgirl. Even though she was Robin for like a cup of coffee. But she was Batgirl as well. It's forgotten about. DC certainly don't care about it. But she was both of those titles. And then she's also, under her own title, Spoiler. That's her hero name, Spoiler. And spoiler alert, if you did put Millie Alcock into that role of Stephanie Brown instead of Supergirl and just thrown her into the Superman movie because fuck it, you would have had a already established actress in a role for a character that has not been established and can be established properly with a lot of fun and intrigue. And then you also do another thing with that casting instead of her being Supergirl, where you have a character in the Bat family that has been already established at that point. And you can put in Nightwing, you can put in Red Hood, you could put, well, not Red Hood, that one might, you want to build that one up. But you want to put in Nightwing, you can put in Tim Drake's Robin as Red Robin. or if you want to call him a new superhero name, I've heard people want to call him like Cardinal at one point for Tim Drake. Anything is better than doing nothing with Tim Drake. To be honest, that dude needs help. We need to help that guy. So, and the same thing with Superman. Superman needs a complete repackage, in my opinion. He needs a complete redo. And you know how you do that? You do Man of Tomorrow. You do like some different, actually no, not Man of Tomorrow, maybe, because we're James Gunn's gonna somehow make that weird and fuck it up and do some weird sexual shit, which he did with Jor-El, wanting Superman to breed with the Earth women and rule Earth or something. Like, that's in the movie. I don't know why he decided, other than just fuck it, I don't care, of course, to just do that, because it's such a fucked up thing to do to the Superman character. It's such a complete slap in the face, backhand. It's a backhand to everybody that likes Superman's mythos and wants to just see Superman be the hope of two worlds. One dead, one alive. And just, I don't even understand why bother doing a Superman movie. It just doesn't make sense if you're going to treat it like this. If you're going to treat it with such disrespect. It's a goddamn shame for anybody that really fucking wants to have a good Superman movie, a fun Superman movie with a lot of cool moments and some wholesome moments and maybe some controversial moments for scenes that, haven't been adapted, like the one I highlighted earlier, where it's, Superman saving an abused child, or Superman stopping a woman from, jumping off a building and committing suicide, or, Superman saving Bizarro in that hypothetical that I put in there, in the video in here. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It makes no fucking sense. You're not blowing my mind by doing a fucking Superman movie where Superman, for some reason, is so ineffectual and lacking and underwhelming that he's just being carried in his own movie by people that really shouldn't even be in it. Why is Mr. Terrific in here, and why are they called the Justice Gang? You couldn't have called them the Justice Society. The Justice Society was in Black Adam. You shouldn't really watch that movie. It ain't really worth it. Believe me, I went to go see it. It wasn't worth it. But still, Justice Society was cool in that movie. We had Cyclone. We had Atom Smasher, who I didn't even remember the name of before. But anyways, fact is the Atom Smasher, Cyclone, Dr. Fate, and Hawkman were all in the Black Adam movie. They were the Justice Society. And they were treated with respect. And they were treated with the gravitas and importance that the Justice Society warrants. Because all they are is a precursor to the Justice League. But they're treated well. Dr. Fate, played by Pierce Brosnan, is perfectly done. He is a better character in that movie than anybody in this fucking movie. And it's because the director gave a fuck about the Justice Society enough to say, okay, let's do some cool shit with the Justice Society. Is it that hard, James Gunn? You didn't give a fuck. We know you did. I know you didn't give a fuck. I know you clearly just did this shit because, I got fired by Marvel because of bullshit that I said in the past, and I'm mad and I'm bitter, so I'm just going to throw DC under the bus because I got the, opportunity to. And it's clear that he didn't want to do this DC universe. You could have got fucking anybody. You could have got fucking Matthew Vaughn that did the X-Men First Class movies. The X-Men First Class movie, excuse me. And it would have been a better off time, I feel like, because that guy actually cares about the material that he's adapting. James Gunn wants to put his stamp on it and make it unrecognizable to what it was in the comics or anything else, and wants to make it his. But his version fucking sucks. It's not good. It's not entertaining enough for me personally. And I just can't get behind James Gunn's DCU. A James Gunn-led DC universe. Just can't do it. I just can't do it. I just can't do it.